The great hall of the Galactic Council buzzed with quiet conversation. Representatives from 50 different worlds sat in their special chairs, each one made to fit their unique bodies. Some breathed different gases, others needed different temperatures, and a few even floated in tanks of liquid. This was normal for the council meetings. Ambassador Tejo walked into the hall with steady steps. Behind him came two other humans, Jiwoo, a woman who studied alien life, and Dongmin, a man who built machines. They wore simple blue uniforms that looked plain compared to the fancy clothes and natural coverings of the other species. The council leader, Vextar, was a tall being with gray skin and 4 arms. He looked down at the humans from his high seat. His voice was deep and echoed in the hall when he spoke. "So another primitive species comes to ask for protection," Vextar said. His tone showed he was not interested. "What dangers threaten your small world? Pirates, natural disasters? Disease?" Many of the other council members made sounds that meant they agreed. They had seen this many times before. Young species would discover space travel, then quickly learn that the galaxy was full of dangers. They would come to the council asking for help and protection. Tejo stepped forward and bowed his head slightly. "Thank you for seeing us, council leader. We are not here to ask for protection. We come to request membership in the Galactic Council." A few council members made surprised sounds. Quindal, a floating creature covered in tentacles, spoke up. "Membership? Do you understand what that requires? You must prove your species can survive in galactic civilization. You must show you have valuable skills or resources." "We believe we do," Tejo replied calmly. Jiwoo stepped forward and activated a small device. A hologram appeared in the center of the hall. It showed a blue and green planet spinning slowly. "This is our home world," Jiwoo said. "We call it Earth." The council members looked at the image with mild interest. Many planets looked similar. Vextar made a gesture with one of his 4 hands, meaning he wanted to know more. "Tell us about your world's environment," said Quindal. "What are the living conditions?" Dongmin touched his device and numbers appeared next to the planet image. He read them out loud in a clear voice. "Gravity is 9.8 meters per second squared. Atmospheric pressure is 101,325 pascals at sea level. Oxygen makes up 21% of the atmosphere. Average surface temperature ranges from -89 degrees Celsius to +58 degrees Celsius." The hall became very quiet. Several council members looked at their translation devices, thinking they had heard wrong numbers. Vextar's 4 eyes widened. "Repeat those numbers." Dongmin repeated the information slowly. This time, some council members made sounds of disbelief. A small furry creature named Piptel spoke in a high voice. "Your translation device is broken. No species can live in such conditions." "Our devices work fine," Tejo said. "Would you like us to provide proof?" Before anyone could answer, Zalketh, a reptile-like being, stood up quickly. His scales changed from green to bright red, which meant he was very upset. "This is impossible," Zalketh hissed. "My people live on a world with 0.3 gravity. Anything stronger than 0.8 would crush our bones, and that atmospheric pressure would kill us in seconds." Other council members began talking at once. Their voices filled the hall with worry and confusion. "The oxygen levels alone would burn our lungs," said Mirva, a blue-skinned humanoid. "The temperature swings would destroy any living tissue," added Korthax, whose body was made of living crystal. Vextar raised all 4 arms to make everyone quiet. "Humans," he said slowly. "If these numbers are true, then your world is what we call a death-class planet. No intelligent life has ever evolved on such a world. It is impossible." Tejo looked around the hall. He could see fear in many eyes. Some council members were already moving toward the exits. "We understand your concern," Tejo said. "Perhaps we should show you more about our world." Jiwoo touched her device again. The hologram changed to show Earth's surface. The council members saw vast oceans with waves that would crush most ships. They saw mountains that reached high into the thin air. They saw storms with lightning that could power entire cities. "These are normal weather patterns on our world," Jiwoo explained. "We have recorded wind speeds of over 400 kilometers per hour. Some of our storms cover areas larger than entire continents on other worlds." A council member fainted and had to be carried out by medical drones. The hologram showed more images. Volcanoes shooting melted rock into the sky. Earthquakes that split the ground open. Floods that covered huge areas of land. "Your people lived through these disasters?" Quindal asked. His tentacles were shaking. "We do not just live through them," Dongmin said. "We have learned to predict them and prepare for them. Some humans even enjoy activities in dangerous weather." "Enjoy?" Vextar's voice cracked. "You enjoy experiencing death-class conditions?" "We call them sports," Teho replied. The hall erupted in chaos. Council members were talking, screaming, and making alarm sounds. Some were calling for medical help. Others were checking their own life support systems to make sure they were working. Vextar slammed a metal bar against his desk many times. "Order, order!" he shouted. When the hall became quiet again, he looked directly at Teho. "You claim your species evolved on this nightmare world. You claim you not only survive these conditions but enjoy them. This is impossible. Life cannot exist in such extremes. Yet here we are," Teho said simply. "Prove it," Vextar demanded. "Prove that any living being can survive on such a world." Jiwoo smiled and touched her device one more time. The hologram changed to show a live video feed. It showed the same blue and green planet, but now they could see it was real, not just a recording. "This is a live transmission from Earth," Jiwoo said. "Would you like to speak with some of our people who are there right now?" 3 human faces appeared in the hologram. They were standing outside without any protective suits. Behind them, the council could see a landscape that would kill most species instantly. "Hello, Galactic Council," said one of the humans on Earth. "We are standing at the base of Mount Everest. The air pressure here is about 1/3 of normal sea level pressure. The temperature is -15 degrees Celsius. We are planning to climb to the top later today." Several more council members fainted. The transmission ended and the hall was silent for a long time. Finally, Vextar spoke in a whisper. "If this is real, if your species truly comes from a death-class world, then everything we know about life in the galaxy is wrong." Teho nodded. "We are here to learn about the galaxy, but perhaps the galaxy can also learn something from us." The meeting was ended early. Many council members needed medical attention. Others rushed to contact their homeworlds with the shocking news. In just one day, everything the galaxy thought they knew about life had changed. As the humans left the hall, they could hear the council members still talking in frightened voices. The galaxy would never be the same again. The ship Harmony's Edge moved slowly toward the blue and green planet. Inside the ship, the best scientists from 12 different worlds watched the screens with growing fear. They had spent 3 months traveling to this place, and now they wished they had stayed home. Dr. Haijin stood in the ship's main lab, looking at the data coming from Earth's surface. She was calm while everyone around her was nervous. The alien scientists had built the strongest life support systems ever made, just to get close to her home world. "The readings are getting worse," said Zephrix, the lead alien scientist. His crystal body was changing colors rapidly, which meant he was very worried. "How can anything live down there?" "You will see soon," Hyejin replied with a smile. Captain Velcor, who was flying the ship, spoke over the communication system. "We are now in Earth's outer atmosphere. All safety systems are active. Emergency escape pods are ready." Through the windows, the alien crew could see Earth growing larger. What they saw made them feel sick. Huge storms covered parts of the planet. Lightning flashed constantly. The oceans looked angry and dangerous. "Those waves," whispered Tamara, a fish-like scientist. "They are bigger than my entire city." "We call those normal ocean waves," Hyejin said. "On a calm day, they are much smaller." Zephrix almost dropped his instruments. "Calm day? Those waves would destroy our strongest buildings." The ship continued to descend. The computer systems kept giving warnings about dangerous conditions. The aliens had never heard so many alarms at once. "Atmospheric pressure increasing, beyond safe levels," the computer announced. "Gravity, field strength approaching lethal limits. Temperature, variations detected that could damage hull. Integrity." Through all these warnings, Hyejin remained relaxed. She checked her own equipment, which looked much simpler than the alien devices. "Are you not concerned about your safety?" asked Dr. Novak, whose people lived in floating cities above gas giant planets. "Why should I be?" Hyejin asked. "This is my home." The ship finally stopped moving. They were now floating in Earth's lower atmosphere, held up by the most powerful engines the galaxy had ever built. Even with all this technology, the alien crew was barely surviving. "Pressure suits on," Captain Velcor ordered. "No one goes outside the ship without full protection." All the alien scientists put on thick, heavy suits that covered their entire bodies. The suits had their own air supply, heating systems, and gravity adjusters. Each suit cost more than most people earned in their entire lives. Jin put on a thin jacket. "Where is your protective equipment?" Zephrix asked in shock. "This jacket is enough," Jin replied. "It might be a little cold outside." The aliens looked at each other with terror. Their strongest protection systems were barely keeping them alive, and the human thought she might be a little cold. A large door opened on the side of the ship. Immediately, alarms started ringing. The ship's computer detected air pressure and temperature that should have killed everyone instantly. Atmospheric. "Conditions are lethal to all known life forms," the computer warned. Jin walked to the open door and stepped. Outside, the alien scientists watched her, through cameras, expecting to see her die within seconds. Instead, she stood on a platform attached to the ship and looked around at the landscape below. "The view is beautiful today," she said through her communication device. "You can see the mountains clearly." "She is alive," Novak whispered. "How is she alive?" Jin pointed to different things she could see. "Those are trees. They grow naturally here. And look, you can see a river flowing between those hills." "Trees?" Tamara asked. "Living plants survive in those conditions?" "Of course," Jin said. "We have millions of different plant species, and billions of animal species too." "Animals?" Zephrix was shaking so hard his crystal body was making noise. "You mean there are other living things on this Deathworld?" "Would you like to see some?" Jin asked. Before anyone could say no, she pointed to something moving near the river. The camera showed a large four-legged creature drinking water. "That is what we call a horse," Jin explained. "Humans often ride on their backs for fun." "Ride on them?" Several aliens asked at the same time. "Yes. We also have much larger animals. Some weigh as much as your entire ship." The alien scientists were now holding onto their chairs to keep from falling over. Every piece of information made their situation seem more impossible. "Dr. Jin," Captain Velcor said carefully, "perhaps you could show us how humans perform normal daily activities in these conditions." "Good idea," Jin agreed. She walked down a ramp that extended from the ship to the ground. With each step, the aliens expected the planet's extreme conditions to kill her. Instead, she reached the ground safely and began walking around. "This is grass," she said, pointing at green plants covering the ground. "Most humans like to walk on it without shoes." She took off her shoes and continued walking. "The soil feels good between my toes," she said happily. 3. More alien scientists needed medical attention. Jin walked to the river and put her hand in the water. "Perfect temperature for swimming," she said. "Swimming?" Novak asked weakly. "Yes, many humans swim for exercise or relaxation. Some swim in the ocean during storms because the waves are more exciting." "During storms?" Zephrix was now lying on the floor of the ship. Jin continued her walk, pointing out normal things that terrified the aliens. She showed them flowers, insects, and birds flying in the sky. "Those creatures can fly in this atmosphere?" Tamara asked. "Birds have been flying on Earth for millions of years," Jin explained. "Some fly from one continent to another, crossing entire oceans." "Millions of years?" Captain Velcor whispered. "Life has survived these conditions for millions of years?" "Much longer than that," Jin said. "Earth has had life for billions of years. We have survived ice ages, asteroid impacts, volcanic eruptions, and mass extinctions." The ship's medical bay was now full of alien scientists who had collapsed from shock. "Asteroid impacts?" Novak asked from his medical bed. "Oh yes," Jin said casually. "A very large asteroid hit Earth about 65 million years ago. It killed most of the large animals, but life survived and grew back even stronger." "And humans lived through this?" Zephrix asked. "Well, humans did not exist yet," Jin admitted. "But our ancestors did. They were small mammals that learned to survive when the big reptiles died." "Reptiles? You mean there were even more dangerous creatures on your world?" Jin laughed. "We call them dinosaurs. Some were larger than your ship and had teeth as long as your arm. They ruled Earth for over 150 million years." The ship's computer announced that several alien crew members had gone into shock and needed immediate medical evacuation. "Perhaps we should return to the ship," Captain Velcor suggested weakly. "Of course," Jin agreed. She walked back up the ramp as easily as she had walked down. Once the door closed, the alien scientists felt a little safer, but they could not stop thinking about what they had seen. "This changes everything," Zephyr said quietly. If humans can survive on a world like this, what else are they capable of? I do not know, Novik replied. But I think the galaxy is about to find out. As the ship prepared to return to safer space, the alien scientists sent their reports back to their home worlds. Each report contained the same shocking message. Humans were not just another species asking for help. They were something completely new and terrifying. On planets across the galaxy, governments called emergency meetings. Military leaders checked their weapons and defenses. Scientists questioned everything they thought they knew about life. The galaxy had just learned that somewhere in the darkness of space, there was a species that called hell home, and now, that species was ready to explore the stars. Captain Wu Jin stood on the bridge of the colony ship New Dawn and looked out at the stars. Behind him, his crew was busy preparing for their journey. Navigator Yuna was checking star charts, while Chief Engineer Hyunwoo was making sure all systems were working perfectly. All ships report ready. Captain, Yuna announced. Wu Jin nodded and looked at the massive fleet around them. 50 human colony ships floated in space near Earth. Each ship carried 10,000 people and everything they needed to build new homes on distant worlds. Where are we going first? Hyunwoo asked. Infernus Prime, Wu Jin replied. The Galactic Council marked it as uninhabitable because the surface temperature is 89 degrees Celsius. Yuna laughed. That is cooler than summer in some Earth deserts. The gravity is also 1.3 times Earth normal, Wu Jin continued. The atmosphere has sulfur compounds that would poison most species. Sounds like a nice vacation spot, Hyunwoo joked. Across the galaxy, alien civilizations watched the human fleet with growing panic. News broadcasts on every world showed the same frightening story. The Deathworld species was spreading to other planets. On the planet Harmony, Prime Minister Ketvar called an emergency meeting of his government. They cannot be serious, Ketvar said, looking at reports from his intelligence service. No one colonizes Death-class worlds. The humans seem to disagree, replied his advisor Mortek. Our scouts report they are heading for 17 different worlds that we classified as completely uninhabitable. 17 worlds, Ketvar repeated slowly. Do you understand what this means? Mortek nodded grimly. Those worlds contain some of the richest mineral deposits in the galaxy. We never bothered to mine them because the cost of survival equipment would be too high. But humans do not need survival equipment. Meanwhile, on the New Dawn, Captain Wu Jin received a communication from Earth. The face of Admiral So Young appeared on the main screen. Captain, we have received over 300 offers from alien governments. Admiral So Young reported. They want to buy mineral rights to the worlds you are colonizing. What did you tell them? Wu Jin asked. That we will consider partnerships after we have established our colonies. So Young replied with a smile. The prices they are offering keep getting higher. The truth was becoming clear to every species in the galaxy. Humans had just claimed ownership of thousands of worlds that contained incredible wealth. Planets that had been ignored for centuries were suddenly the most valuable real estate in the universe. On the trade world of Commerce Prime, economist Thermos stared at his calculations in disbelief. The market value of uninhabitable worlds has increased by 4,000% in 1 week, he told his assistant. Some planets that were worth nothing yesterday are now worth more than entire star systems. What caused this? His assistant asked. Humans, Thermos replied. They have made worthless worlds valuable simply by being able to live on them. Stock markets across the galaxy were in chaos. Companies that owned mining rights to dangerous worlds saw their values skyrocket. Companies that specialized in safe, comfortable planets watched their stocks crash. 3 months later, Captain Wu Jin stood on the surface of Infernus Prime without any protective equipment. Around him, human colonists were building the first permanent structures. They worked in the heat that would have killed most aliens in minutes, and they seemed to enjoy it. The mineral surveys are complete, reported geologist Minho. This planet has enough rare metals to supply the entire galaxy for 1,000 years. How long until we can start mining operations? Wu Jin asked. 6 months, Minho replied. Maybe less if the equipment shipments arrive on schedule. Above them, alien ships waited in orbit. They carried diplomats, scientists, and business leaders who all wanted to make deals with the humans. But none of them could land on the planet's surface. The alien representatives are asking for another meeting, Yuna reported through her communication device. Tell them we will meet on their ships, Wu Jin replied, but remind them that we charge extra for off-world meetings. The humans had quickly learned that their unique abilities gave them incredible negotiating power. Every business deal had to be conducted on human terms because humans were the only species that could actually visit these valuable worlds. On Glacialis, another human colony was growing rapidly. Commander Jin'ei watched her people build a military training facility in conditions that would freeze most aliens solid. The first alien cadets arrive next week, reported her aide. Lieutenant Seo-jin, are they sure they want to train here? Jin'ei asked. They insist, Seo-jin replied. The Stellar Defense Force wants to learn human military tactics. They think that if they can survive training on a human world, they can survive anything. They are probably right, Jin'ei agreed, but I'm not sure they will survive the training. The alien cadets were volunteers from 12 different species. Each one wore the most advanced life support suit ever created, but they were still barely able to function in the harsh conditions. On the first day of training, half of them had to be evacuated for medical emergencies. By the end of the first week, only 3 aliens remained in the program. Perhaps we should make the training easier, suggested one of Jin'ei's human instructors. We are already using the easiest training program we have, Jin'ei replied. This is what human children do for fun. News of the military training program spread quickly through the galaxy. The message was clear. Human soldiers were trained in conditions that would defeat most armies before the fighting even started. On the civilized world of Peace Garden, Senator Valthus watched news reports with growing concern. They are not just surviving on these worlds, she told her fellow senators. They are thriving. Some reports say humans actually prefer the dangerous planets to their homeworld. How is that possible? Asked Senator Quillnox. Apparently Earth is even more dangerous than the worlds they are colonizing, Valthus replied. They see these death-class planets as vacation destinations. Back on Infernus Prime, Captain Wu Jin received another communication from Admiral So Young. Captain, we have a situation, the Admiral said. The Galactic Council has called an emergency session. They want to discuss new laws about planetary colonization. What kind of laws? Wu Jin asked. Laws that would limit how many uninhabitable worlds one species can claim, So Young explained. They are scared that humans will take over too much of the galaxy. How many worlds are we planning to colonize? All of them, So Young replied with a grin. Every single world that other species cannot survive on. Wu Jin looked out at the human colony growing around him. In just a few months, they had built a thriving city in conditions that would kill most galactic citizens. Similar colonies were being established on dozens of other worlds. Admiral, Wu Jin said, I think we should attend that council meeting. Agreed. But this time, let's hold the meeting on one of our worlds. Which one? I was thinking Infernus Prime. The council members can attend by video link from their ships in orbit. Perfect, Wu Jin agreed. Let them try to make laws about worlds they cannot even visit. As the communication ended, Wu Jin smiled. The galaxy was learning that humans did not just survive in impossible conditions. They made those conditions work for them. The Great Exodus had begun, and there was no force in the galaxy that could stop it. Humans were spreading to every corner of space that other species feared to enter. Soon the most dangerous places in the universe would all have the same thing in common. They would be home to humans. The galaxy was about to discover that sometimes the scariest thing in the darkness was not a monster or a weapon. Sometimes it was just a species that called the darkness home. Ambassador Yunseo walked into the conference room aboard the Galactic Council flagship. She wore a simple human uniform while the alien delegates around the table were covered in the most advanced life support equipment money could buy. They were meeting in space above Infernus Prime because none of the aliens could survive on the planet's surface. Thank you for agreeing to meet with us, said Council Leader Vextar. His forearms moved nervously as he spoke. We need to discuss humanity's place in galactic civilization. We are happy to talk, Yunseo replied calmly. What would you like to discuss? Vextar activated a holographic display. It showed a map of the galaxy with hundreds of planets marked in red. These are all the worlds that humans have claimed in the past year, Vextar explained. Do you see the problem? Yunseo studied the map. I see that humans are living on planets that no one else wanted. That is exactly the problem, said Trade Representative Luxara. These worlds contain 73% of all known mineral resources in the galaxy. You have made yourselves incredibly wealthy overnight. We have made the galaxy wealthy, Yunseo corrected. These resources were useless because no one could reach them. Now they can be mined and shared. At prices you control, Luxara pointed out. Fair prices, Yunseo replied. Much lower than what it would cost other species to extract these materials themselves. Defense Minister Kravox leaned forward in his mechanical suit. There is another concern. Your military capabilities are disturbing. How so? Yunseo asked. Your soldiers train in conditions that would destroy our armies, Kravox explained. Your ships operate in dangerous areas of space where our vessels cannot go. You have created an unfair military advantage. We have not created anything, Yunseo said. We simply use what nature gave us. Scholar Quindal floated closer to the table. Perhaps we can reach an agreement. The Council is prepared to offer humanity full membership with special privileges. What kind of privileges? Yunseo asked. Exclusive rights to all Death-class worlds, Quindal replied. Complete sovereignty over any planet other species cannot inhabit. In return, you provide protection services for the galaxy. Yunseo considered this offer. It was exactly what humanity had hoped for. We accept, she said. With one addition. What addition? Vextar asked suspiciously. Any species that wants to learn survival skills can train with us, Yunseo said. We will share our knowledge freely. The alien delegates looked at each other with surprise. They had expected humans to keep their advantages secret. You would teach other species to survive on dangerous worlds? Quindal asked. If they can learn, Yunseo replied, though I warn you the training is very difficult. 2 weeks later, Admiral Jamin received an urgent distress call while patrolling near the turbulent nebula. His fleet of human ships was on routine patrol when the message came through. This is Captain Velmar of the delicate Federation ship Crystal Hope, the transmission said. We are under attack by pirates near Navigation Point 7. Please help us. Navigation Point 7? Asked Commander Tae Young from the bridge of Jamin's flagship. That is deep inside the turbulent nebula. Set course for their position, Jamin ordered. Maximum speed. Sir, the nebula contains radiation storms and gravitational anomalies, Tae Young warned. Federation ships are not designed for those conditions. Then it is good that we are not flying Federation ships, Jamin replied. The human fleet entered the turbulent nebula without slowing down. Around them, cosmic forces that would tear apart most vessels seemed like minor weather disturbances. The nebula's radiation would have killed alien crews in minutes, but the humans barely noticed it. Contact with the Federation convoy, reported Communications Officer Yuri. They are amazed we can operate in these conditions. Tell them to stay close, Jamin ordered. We will escort them to safety. The human ships found the Federation convoy under attack by 12 pirate vessels. The pirates were using the nebula's dangerous conditions to hide from galactic authorities. Knowing that no law enforcement could follow them into the cosmic storm, they had not expected humans. Unknown ships. This is Captain Drex of the Crimson Raiders, came a threatening transmission. Leave this area immediately or be destroyed. This is Admiral Jamin of the Human Defense Force, Jamin replied calmly. You are under arrest for piracy. Surrender now and you will not be harmed. The pirates laughed over the communication channel. Humans, we have never heard of humans. You cannot threaten us in our own territory. This is not your territory anymore, Jamin said. The battle was over in 10 minutes. The human ships moved through the nebula like they were flying in open space. They attacked from directions the pirates thought were impossible, using the nebula's dangerous conditions as cover. When the fighting ended, all 12 pirate ships were captured or destroyed. The Federation convoy was safe. How did you do that? Asked Captain Velmar over the communication system. No one can fight effectively in the turbulent nebula. We did not find it particularly turbulent, Jamin replied. News of the rescue spread quickly through the galaxy. The message was clear. Humans could provide protection in places where no other force could operate. On the medical station Haven's Rest, Dr. Soo-hyun was treating her first alien patients. The station was built on a former Death-class world that humans had terraformed into a comfortable medical facility. How are you feeling? She asked patient Zexiel, a crystalline being from the outer rim. Much better, Zexiel replied, but I do not understand how you can work in these conditions. Dr. Soo-hyun looked around the medical bay. The gravity was 1.2 times Earth normal. The air pressure was slightly higher than standard, and the temperature was a comfortable 28 degrees Celsius. These seem like normal conditions to me, she said. Normal? Zexiel asked in surprise. The gravity alone would crush most of my people. That is why we built this station, Dr. Soo-hyun explained. We can treat patients in conditions that would be impossible on your homeworlds. The medical station was treating patients from dozens of species. Many came for surgeries that required high gravity to be successful. Others needed treatment for radiation exposure that only humans could safely handle. Dr. Soo-hyun, called Nurse Bora from across the room. We have another emergency incoming. A mining accident on extraction platform Omega. How bad? Dr. Soo-hyun asked. 7 injured miners from the Tentacled Collective. They were working near a gas giant when their life support failed. Prep Surgery Bay 3, Dr. Soo-hyun ordered. And increase the atmospheric pressure to 3 times standard. 3 times? Bora asked. Will the equipment handle that? Our equipment will be fine, Dr. Soo-hyun replied. It is designed for much worse conditions. Meanwhile, businessman Chan Woo was opening humanity's newest mining operation on the planet Pressure Drop. The world had gravity 4 times Earth normal and an atmosphere so thick it would crush most alien equipment. Production is ahead of schedule, reported his foreman Sung Ho. We are extracting rare metals faster than any other operation in the galaxy. Any problems with the Alien Oversight Committee? Chan Woo asked. They monitor us from orbit, Sung Ho replied with a grin. They cannot get close enough to interfere with our work. The mining operation was producing materials that had been nearly impossible to obtain before humans arrived. Other species needed expensive robotic systems to work in such conditions, but humans could operate the machinery directly. The Galactic Mining Consortium has made another offer to buy our operation, Sung Ho reported. How much this time? Chan Woo asked. 50 times what they offered last month. Still not enough, Chan Woo decided. These resources are too valuable to sell cheap. As the months passed, the galaxy adapted to its new reality. Humans controlled access to the most dangerous and valuable places in the universe. They provided services that no other species could offer. They had become indispensable. On her personal ship, Ambassador Yoon Seo reviewed reports from human colonies across the galaxy. Every report told the same story. Humans were not just surviving on death-class worlds, they were making them profitable. Ma'am, called her aide, Yoon Seo. We have a message from the Galactic Council. They want to discuss expanding our protection services. What kind of expansion? Yoon Seo asked. They want us to patrol the dark sector, Yoon Seo replied. Ancient ruins have been discovered there, but the radiation levels are too dangerous for archaeological teams. Yoon Seo smiled. Tell them we will consider it. For the right price. The galaxy was learning that humans were not just another species to be managed. They were partners who could go places and do things that no one else could. In return, they asked for fair treatment and the freedom to live as they chose. It was a new kind of galactic order, built on the simple fact that sometimes the most dangerous job required the most dangerous species to do it. And in a galaxy full of hazards, humans were always ready to work. President Mi-young stood on the observation deck of her new Capitol building, looking out at the thriving city below. Haven's Rest had grown from an empty death-class world into the unofficial capital of human space in just 5 years. The planet's 1.8 gravity and 47-degree average temperature made it a paradise by human standards. The Galactic Council session is ready to begin, announced her aide. Junho Mi-young nodded and walked to her office. On the wall, a massive screen showed the Galactic Council chambers on Nexus Prime. Representatives from over 100 species waited to hear her annual address. Members of the Galactic Council, Mi-young began. 5 years ago, humanity asked to join galactic civilization. Today, I am proud to report that our partnership has made the galaxy safer and more prosperous than ever before. She activated a holographic display showing statistics from across human space. Human colonies now operate on 847 worlds previously classified as uninhabitable. These operations have increased the galaxy's total resource production by 340%. Trade between species has grown by 200%, and space piracy has decreased by 78%. Council leader Vexitar nodded approvingly. The Council thanks humanity for its contributions. Your people have exceeded all expectations. We are just getting started, Mi Young replied with a smile. On the military world of Titan's Storm, General Hosiak was reviewing reports from the Galactic Defense Force. The human-led military organization had grown into the galaxy's primary peacekeeping force. "Sir, we have a situation developing in the outer rim," reported Colonel Insu. "Long range, sensors are detecting unknown energy signatures near the Dark Barrier." The Dark Barrier was a region of space that no species had ever successfully explored. Ancient warnings from the first civilization spoke of terrible dangers that lay beyond it. "What kind of energy signatures?" Hosiak asked. "Unlike anything in our databases," Insu replied. "The patterns suggest technology far more advanced than anything we know." Hosiak studied the data with growing concern. "Assemble the first fleet. We need to investigate this personally." "Sir, the Dark Barrier has radiation levels that would destroy most ships," Insu warned. "Then it is good that we are not flying most ships," Hosiak replied. 3 days later, the human fleet approached the Dark Barrier. Around them, space itself seemed twisted and dangerous. Cosmic phenomena that would have stopped any other fleet were mere obstacles to the human ships. "We are receiving a transmission," reported Communications Officer Kyung Min. "It is ancient." "Let me hear it," Hosiak ordered. A voice spoke in a language that was old when the galaxy was young. The translation computers worked for several minutes before producing a message. "Warning to all who hear this. The Devourers have awakened. The seal is broken. All life must flee or face extinction." "Devourers?" Insu asked. Before Hosiak could answer, the sensors detected movement ahead. Something massive was emerging from the Dark Barrier. It was larger than a space station and shaped like no ship any species had ever built. "Red alert," Hosiak ordered. "All ships prepare for combat." The alien vessel began to move toward the galaxy's inhabited regions. As it traveled, it left a trail of dead space behind it. Stars dimmed and planets turned cold in its wake. "It is draining energy from everything around it," Kyung-min reported, "including the life force of any living beings nearby." Hosiak realized they were facing something that had terrified even the first civilization. The ancient race that had ruled the galaxy millions of years ago had built the Dark Barrier to contain this threat. "Send a priority message to all human colonies," Hosiak ordered. "Full military mobilization, and contact the Galactic Council immediately." Back on Haven's Rest, President Mi Young received the emergency transmission while meeting with alien ambassadors. "A Devourer ship has breached the Dark Barrier," General Hosiak reported. "We estimate it will reach the first inhabited systems in 6 months." The alien ambassadors looked at each other with terror. Ancient legends spoke of the Devourers as the ultimate destroyers, creatures that consumed the life force of entire worlds. "What can be done?" asked Ambassador Quindal. "We fight," Mi Young replied simply. "Fight?" Quindal's tentacles trembled. "The legends say that even the first civilization could not defeat them. They could only contain them." "The first civilization was not human," Mi Young pointed out. Dr. Young-suk was working in her laboratory on Survival Station Alpha when she received the emergency summons. As head of the Galactic Survival Institute, she had been training alien volunteers in basic human survival techniques. "Doctor, we need your assessment," President Mi Young said over the communication link. "Can other species be trained to fight alongside humans against this threat?" Young-suk looked around her laboratory. She had spent 3 years trying to teach aliens to survive in conditions that humans considered mild. Only a few dozen had succeeded. "The training would have to be accelerated," Young-suk replied. "And even then, most species would not survive combat in the conditions where this battle will be fought." "Do what you can," Mi Young ordered. "Every ally will help." Across the galaxy, human colonies began preparing for war. Ships that had been built for mining and exploration were converted into weapons of war. Soldiers who had been training in impossible conditions prepared to face an enemy that had once conquered the stars. On Infernus Prime, Captain Wu Jin watched his colonists transform their mining equipment into defensive weapons. "The aliens think we are crazy for fighting this thing," reported Yuna. "Maybe we are," Wu Jin replied. "But someone has to do it." The Devourer ship continued its advance toward the galaxy's core. Wherever it traveled, entire star systems went dark. The ancient enemy was feeding on the galaxy itself, growing stronger with each world it consumed. General Hosiak assembled the largest military force the galaxy had ever seen. Human ships formed the core of the fleet, but they were joined by vessels from every species that could contribute. The alien ships will have to stay at the edge of the battle zone, reported Colonel Insu. The energy fields around the Devourer would destroy their life support systems. Then, humans will lead the assault, Hoseok decided. Sir, we are facing an enemy that defeated the most advanced civilization in galactic history, Insu pointed out. Yes, Hoseok agreed. But they defeated the most advanced civilization. They never faced the most stubborn one. The final battle took place near the galactic core, where space itself was twisted by gravitational forces and radiation storms. It was a region where no other species could survive, but humans fought as if they were in their own backyard. The Devourer ship was unlike any enemy they had ever faced. It seemed to absorb their weapons and grow stronger from their attacks. But humans had learned something important during their years in space. Sometimes winning meant surviving longer than your enemy expected. For 3 days, the human fleet attacked the Devourer ship without stopping. They used tactics that no other species would have attempted, fighting in conditions that should have been impossible. Finally, something changed. The ancient ship began to slow down. Its energy absorption systems, designed to fight civilizations that valued their lives above victory, could not handle an enemy that refused to retreat even when facing certain death. It is working, reported Kyungmin. The ship's power levels are dropping. All ships final assault, Hoseok ordered. The human fleet concentrated their fire on a single point of the Devourer ship. After hours of continuous bombardment, the ancient vessel finally stopped moving. Its energy fields collapsed, and the threat that had terrified the galaxy for millions of years was finally ended. When the battle was over, General Hoseok stood on his damaged bridge and looked out at the surviving human ships. They had lost many friends, but they had saved the galaxy. Sir, we are receiving transmissions from across the galaxy, Kyungmin reported. Every species is sending messages of gratitude. Tell them they are welcome, Hoseok replied. But remind them that this is what humans do. We face the darkness so others do not have to. Months later, Dr. Youngsuk opened a new training facility on Earth itself. For the first time, alien volunteers would learn survival skills on humanity's original Deathworld. Are you sure they are ready for this? Asked her assistant, Haewon. Youngsuk watched the first group of alien trainees as they prepared to step outside into Earth's natural environment. They were covered in the most advanced protective equipment ever created, but she could see the fear in their eyes. They will never be ready, Youngsuk replied. But that is the point. Sometimes you have to do impossible things to protect what matters. The galaxy had learned its most important lesson. In a universe full of dangers, the best defense was not advanced technology or superior firepower. The best defense was a species that had learned to call danger home. Humans had not conquered the galaxy through force or deception. They had earned their place by being willing to go where others could not and do what others would not. They had become the guardians of civilization, not because they sought power, but because they were the only ones capable of standing guard. As President Mi-young looked out at the stars from her office on Haven's Rest, she knew that humanity's greatest adventures were still ahead. There were still dark corners of the universe to explore, still ancient mysteries to solve.